Hellfire Campaigns is a valuable sourcebook if you are playing Hellfire and the Fall of Empire, a solo campaign which is designed for use with Hellfire, the generic 1 to 300 science fiction wargame rules by Jim Webster. He's got a lot of books. Hell and Microcosm, Hell and Bad Decisions. Oh, Fateful Decisions, the Bad Decisions. That would be the title of my autobiography. And then Hell and Uncivil Disorder. A lot of really great rules, a lot of different scales. This is more squad-based. I think this one is like divisional. This one's like battalion. Whatever. Hey, we are going to be playing Hellfire and the Fall of Empire. We've been doing that for several weeks now. Like 6 of them. And we still have more to go. In our last episode, man, did we have some problems. Our little empire, it's not an empire. It's a little nation on the edge of an empire that's slowly retracting. And a couple of years ago, they pulled out of the area. They left us alone on this planet with a whole bunch of barbarian hordes. We are surrounded by 6 different, well, we call them barbarians. The Tillians are near peers. The Puka here, they were using outdated equipment. Last year we got raided. The Puka tried to take Kanatha. They did. They raided it. They dinged us for a couple of points. We're going to talk about the economics of what the results of that are. Their horse cavalry got into town. They did a little flash mob there in our 7-Elevens, our legally distinct 7-Elevens, our 8-12s. Poor Apu took it on the chin, and so did we. But we really took a beating up here at Damascus. The Tillian Republic, recognizing that without the Imperial Navy ready to like orbital bomb them and drop the Star Marines on their heads, that we were weak, we were vulnerable, they took Damascus. Now, I gotta tell you, we're not using the Hellfire rules themselves. I don't have the figures for it. I don't have the time. I don't have the inclination. But I do still want the battles to run out. So I've been asking a bunch of idiotic robots. And at the end of the conclusion, for those of you that haven't watched the last episode, what the heck is wrong with you, huh? Come on. Try to keep up, would you? I went back and I asked the computer, hey, could you run that scenario again? But this time, give the good guys, the hippos, a slight advantage in technology, both in their personal weapons and in their, what was the other thing they have? Oh, and in their artillery. It got confused and it thought the Tillians had better artillery. It was a cakewalk for the hippos. Oops. I'm going to let that result stand. All right, after I clarified, but I think, this is more interesting. We've lost Damascus. We're going to rationalize that. We're going to justify it. We had a couple of green units in there. They didn't really know what they're doing. The stakes, nobody really realized what they were. This time, here we are. We're going to start off with 2950 today, and we're going to see what we have available for retaking Damascus. We've got a pretty significant war chest, but remember that at the start of the season, we need to figure out, well, not at the start, but like as we plot out what's going to happen this year, there's a very real chance that the Tillians are going to launch another attack on us. And as you'll see later in the episode, we'll decide whether they make their play for Dion. Their thing is they want to secure 2 cities, one of which is a port city. So if the Tillians come in, they're going to go for Dion. But if they raid, then maybe they'll just raid either Rafana or Kanatha. I don't know yet. We'll have to kind of look at that. But now what we're doing is we're building a bit of a narrative about our neighbors and what they're up to. The Puka, of course, aren't going to do anything because we just completely blasted them. No, wait, that's not true, is it? They got through, they pulled back. We weren't able to blast them. That's right. You'd think, I know you're watching this like 2 weeks separated. I just recorded this last night. I'm a little embarrassed. I should have remembered that. 2 demerits for Mr. Wargaming. But I remembered it in time. They got their horse cavalry into town. They used their infantry as a distraction, and they pulled back, suffering significant but not heavy losses. So the Puka may decide to raid us again. The Wheelian supremacy, remember, we absolutely pantsed them over here at this battle in the hills. So if they come up, they have another year, I think maybe after next year. I think next year they can come at us. I'll have to check the notes. All right, but that's enough. Hey, before we get into 2950, I want to show you, I made this delightful thing here. This is the flag of the Hippos Empire. It's not much of an empire. It's just one nation. But if we can hold things together, then maybe we can make an empire of our own. In much the same way that a little island in the Roman Empire known as Britannicus, Britannia. What did they call those goofballs up there that Hadrian stomped, and then brought in? I think you know the guys. They're good friends of ours, right? They went from being just this periphery on the edge of an empire to running an empire on which the sun never set. This is the flag of our empire, the Hippolytan Empire, I guess you'd call it. And I have one more little thing. So there's a little bit of the world building that you can do. I have one more fun graphic to show you later. We'll get to that when I show you who we're recruiting to try to take back Damascus. We've lost Damascus, and so we're going to have to launch a lightning attack to try to reclaim it from those filthy Tillians. But we're going on the offensive here. We still have the potential for raids and major incursions, so we're going to have to dip into our stash heavy. Before we do that, though, we need to put a bow on the year 2949, and you do that by... Where'd my book go? Ah, here it is. By taking a look at the optional... Wait, that's not the one. Here it is. This time for real, yo. The very back of the book, Jim gives us some optional rules for how to end your campaign. Obviously, if you lose all of your cities and your population's decimated and you're carved up among these guys, then you've lost the campaign. Very real potential. We see now it's not going to be an unmitigated string of victories. But at the end of every year, and I haven't done this yet because, man, there's a whole lot of stuff you have to check. But at the end of the year, let's take a look here at the back of the book. So a last speculative table, A last speculative table, feel free to use it or not. It's the sort of thing you might get involved in if you feel you're winning too easily, or if you're desperate and about to go down for the third time. Or, left unspoken, if you're hosting a YouTube channel and you don't want to spend like 3 years playing this out. Roll percentage dice every year, and on a 1% chance, something happens. So if I get an 01, so I got a 94, see, 94, so nothing happens this year. But over the first 20 years, you roll a d6, and you might get a Starmancer raid. You might get a trade mission. The Empire could return. So here you have this delightful little, like, choose-your-own-adventure path, or branching narrative campaign, if you will. The Starmancers, these are pirates, right? This is where a spaceship, they land and discharge their troops to loot. They'll hit cities, roll for the number of ships. Each ship lands D3 companies. Right? And then here we have a trade mission, which means, oh, you know what? You can actually get a little bit of extra loot. Trade is very good, but you have a market for any technology you have reverse engineered, like our beam weapons. And then a local warlord arrives. Wait, where is that one? Oh, that's in the second 20 years. So if you get up to 25 years later, there's a chance that a warlord arrives and he decides, nice kingdom you got here. It'd be a shame if something happened to it. And then he tries to take over, right? He offers you 1,000 credits a year for a safe base. Oh, that's pretty cool. So you can actually make a little income serving as a space star port for the pirates. A space Tortuga or a Tortugastra. There's a deep cut for the old fans of the channel. My OG fans, you know who you are. Love you. On a 3 or 4, if you control at least 5 cities, he recognizes you as governor, says, give me 5% of your income as a tax, and oh, you get 2 small systems to control piracy. Ah, that's pretty sweet, right? So you get little extra troops, and then here we have a new empire arrives. I don't know if I'm going to get to do this one, but basically it says, oh, the empire returns, the local warlords are automatically displaced, they just fade away. Technically, the return of the Empire could be an obvious end to the campaign, if that is what you want. Otherwise, don't bother with it. Oh, that's kind of good. Discretion must apply, right? We're going full Gygax on this one. A new Empire arrives. The local warlords are automatically displaced. The new Empire ends the campaign. But in this case, they're not wedded to the notional governor. They place in charge the one who controls the most cities. That might even be you, but it might not. Because remember, we have been fortunate enough to avoid the case of civil war. Our boy has survived every year, and oh man, I shouldn't have said that. Our new emperor, what do you call him? Mr. Guerre de Joux? We've done that one before. You know, the Emperor Wargaming of the Hippos Empire, maybe he gets deposed. So here we are, 2950. The calendar ticks over. The big ball drops in Space New York. What would it be? That big New Year's party would probably be in Hippos. Which is the biggest city? Garasa? No, it's probably going to happen in Garasa. There's a lot more people in Garasa. Right there. And where else? Maybe Rafana? That's your art. No, Garasa's art. This is where the cathedral is, too. Maybe that's where the ball drops. Huh. Well, although, has our empire gone through puberty yet? I'm sorry, that's inappropriate. I apologize for those of you that watch this at dinner time or with your kids. So no Wheelians until 2951. No Puka this year. We already talked a little bit about that. The Navy is gone. No spare parts. So if we had to repair any of our grav tanks, yeah, they all got destroyed. So that's not a problem for us. And then -2 to income due to the Puka raid. That's what I was talking about. They hammered Kanatha. Our industry suffered. And Damascus has fallen. So we've lost 8 of our population. What this means is our income, let's just go over this before we start doing all of our if-thens and all of our dice checks, okay? Our income, I apologize for the awkward edit there. Let's start over. The income, we have 88 population. We started at 100, we've lost 12. 2 of our populations, about 20,000 people have gone back to the empire. They're weak, they remigrated, that's fine. And of course, we lost Damascus because our leaders were just not up to snuff. So our 88 population, they generate 200 credits per year. That's 176,000 kilocredits this year. Except I'm going to ding myself by 2 more. It's actually only 86 population because Kanatha is having to rebuild. That means that our income is going to be 17,200 per month. 17,200 a month translates to 172 kilocredits per year. Our military costs 135. That's the existing, which gives us, if you subtract the 135 from 172, that gives us, oh boy, that only gives us 35, 36, 37 kilocredits surplus for the year. And that surplus gets added to our reserve of 234. So this, we're going to wind up at the end of our accounting year with 271.5 kilocredits. That's what we start with, but we need to rebuild our military. The first Hippolytan infantry, mechanized infantry, was destroyed in the defense of Damascus. We didn't lose the artillery. They were set up well to the rear. We refused to commit our reserve. We didn't lose any of our airplanes, although we still might. So if I may, well, before we begin with our heavy recruiting, we're going big this time. We have a number of questions that we have to ask. And we're going to ask our good friend, Mr. D6. Do the Barbarians show up this year? I rolled D6 for how many tribes? All 6 are going to hammer us. Okay, that's not true. What I'm going to do is I'm going to roll 6d6 to find out who all is coming after us. We get 6 raids this time. We are going to have some decisions to make. So let me just write down the 6 right here, okay? We'll answer these questions first, and then we'll provide a little more detail. Do any units withdraw? Now, these are the Kaizen Imperial units. On a 1 or a 2, we lose some companies of support. So on a 6, they still stick around. That means we still have our tube artillery with the electronic countermeasures. It means the aircraft still stick around. When they go bye-bye, that's going to be a huge hit. What about the capital? Does it shrink? On a 1, let me re-roll that. On a 1, it does. With a 5, it does not. Okay, so we still have a population of 11 there. And then we have to roll 3 times for Gadara, Pella, and Philadelphia. I'm going to roll for Gadara. And there's a 1 in 6 chance. So Gadara is fine, Pella's fine, and Philadelphia is fine. Then we have an interesting question. Are the imperial orders considered requests? This is one of those checkpoint events on a 1 or a 2. No. So they're still giving us orders. Basically, the way I interpret this, in my mind, the way this works is, they're still giving us orders. Even though the Navy is gone, they could come back at a moment's notice. If we don't continue to take advantage to obey them and send stuff their way, it would go bad for us. There's no chance they're going to come back. Maybe they come back and raid us. That's basically how I understand it. And then does our governor die? Now he's getting old, right? We are into the 6th or 7th year, and he was kind of an older guy anyway. So on a 1 in 10, he's going to die. On a 1, okay, he dies, and now things get even worse. Okay, so the Emperor Mr. Wargaming the First is dead. And, oh boy, that could be a real problem for us because we have to find out if the succession is challenged. Oh, he must have, maybe you know what it is? He was so dishonored by the loss of Damascus that he stepped down and the political rival party. So it doesn't have to be death, right? But he's removed from power because of the embarrassing 2949. And that means we got to go to the rule book. Roll a d6, and on a 1, there is a political controversy. Okay, there's not, so we don't have a disputed succession. If we did, the nation could be split, and we're going to have to be fighting a civil war while holding off the barbarians. That would pretty much end the campaign. All right, so so now we go back to a D20, by the way. We have a new emperor takes over. And the next thing we have to resolve is which of our 6 neighbors is going to come after us. This is why we check the rules. A barbarian people defeated last year will not get involved in incidents this year. What about the Puka? We beat them pretty handily. Was that considered a defeat? I'm gonna go with the dice. On a 1, 2, or 3, it's a defeat. Yeah, that's counted as a defeat. They did make some money, but not enough to cover their losses. So that means the Puka and the Wheelian Supremacy, they're not going to get involved. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll 6d6. Remember, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So on a 3 or a 4, I avoided that fate this time around. So I got 2 1s, a 2, and a 6. So that's 1, 2, 6, 6, and I still have to roll 2 more dice. I know what you're thinking. Be patient. So 2 3s. That means we're really going to have 4 people coming in. We're going to have... Did I say 1 1 2 6 or 1 2 6 6? I wrote 1 2 6 6. So that means we're going to have the Maca, the Popular Front, and we're going to have a double dose of the Grey Horde coming at us. Oh, wait a minute. What if the Grey Horde attacks Damascus? Maybe the Grey Horde wants a slice of that action. We might really be able to take advantage of that. The trick here is that by rolling the Grey Horde twice, I have to roll twice on the chart to find out what they are up to this year. Remember that each of these different empires, these neighbors, have different strategies for what they're going to do. The Grey Horde, we roll a d6, and there's a 1 in 3 chance that they'll serve as paid allies. I'm going to roll once for all of them. Paid allies. So we can actually hire them on to help us retake Damascus. We do the same thing for the Maca. We roll a 5. They're willing to serve as paid allies. And then for the Grey Horde, maybe we have more friends than I thought. I roll a 3, and I already checked the Grey Horde. It's the Popular Front I'm checking now. The Popular Front, on a 3, they're going to try to take a city. And the Popular Front is located, they can come up through here. So I think the choice is going to be Pella or Gerasa. Those are the 2 closest. So 1, 2, 3, it's Pella, and on a 4, 5, 6, it's Gerasa. So the Popular Front is going to try to take Pella. Before I go to the trouble of finding out what all forces they're bringing to the party, we should check for political stability. Remember that every time they show up and as an event, there's a chance that they're under new leadership. So we're going to roll a d10 for each of the Grey Horde and the Popular Front, and on a 1, yeah, they're going to sit out this year. Likewise for the Macan potential allies. Interestingly, I'm hoping to avoid the D10, the 1 on a couple of these. So like I said, let's go ahead and roll first for the Grey Horde, and they're going to show up. We'll roll for the Popular Front with a D10. They're going to show up, and we'll roll a D6 for our potential Macan on a 1. Oh, they're having an election of their own, and it's going to take months and months and months to count all the votes, even when we all know exactly how the election went. The Popular Front will be bringing a normal size force, which is D10 Popular Militia Infantry. So that's D10 companies of 9 bases of infantry with projectile weapons, flak armor. One of them will have a man-portable weapon. They do not have vehicles, but if a city is taken, they will move in and requisition it. So we got to find out how many companies. So 6 companies. So Popular Front is bringing 6 companies of militia. All right, our home militia is going to consist of, well, Pella, has a population of 8, as you can see there. So we're going to have 4 home companies of militia, plus whoever we can bring to bear. Maybe we will just hire the Maca to deal with these guys, to stiffen our militia. That way we can send our entire military off on an adventure to Damascus. Before we do that, though, while I was trying to figure this out, I looked this up, and here is what it says for taking a city. The force will move to the nearest city and attempt to take it. Roll a d10. Wait, what? Oh. The city will surrender on a roll of a 1 if taxes are high. Remember, you can crank up the taxes to get more revenue. We don't need to do that yet. We got a pretty good war chest. Then it's a 1, 2, 3. If Imperial forces have been defeated, it's a -2 on that roll. Well, I don't know that applies today, so we just need to roll it. And on a 1, the city surrenders. Oh, Pella. I thought I knew you. Okay, so Pella surrenders. And what that means is... Ooh, I forgot. I got to check what month they surrender in. We roll a d6, add 4. So this is going to be late. They surrender in, month 10? The last month of the year. And then we're going to show up. I guess they might move that up. Wait, is that it? That's the only attack that's going to happen. We thought things were going smooth. We were going to be so focused. So we're going to do a little bit of retcon here. What's going to happen is we're going to build a military. We're going to charge on Damascus. I think this is probably an intelligence failure on our part. And then in the last month, meaning October, that's when this goes down. Okay, that's all right. That's all right. So we're not going to hire the Maca. Just going to let that go. There is one other option, though. It says here, serve as paid allies. There's a thing, I thought there was one more thing we could do here about paying them to go away. No, there's not. Okay. If you show up to try and take it back, turning up with a military force stronger than any barbarian garrison, the city will surrender you on a 1, 2, or 3. If you don't retake the city, it will remain linked. So then we have this whole fighting to retake the city. Let's stick a pin in this. Let's figure out what's going to happen over here on the Damascus front, okay? The Damascene front, we also need to figure out how many gray hordes are going to show up to help us out. To do that, we take a look at paid allies. Now, we're going to have to do this twice because we rolled them showing up 2 times. I'm going to assume they don't have a civil war going, okay? Savers paid allies. You get the normal force, diced up and random, pay 600 credits per month per company, paid in advance at the start of the month. You got to take everything. Okay, so let's find out what the Gray Horde is up to. Let's find out what they have to offer. And that's going to be right here. Wandering people, they control a mixture of pastoral and peasant peoples. They travel large distances in covered wagons, which can raise a mast and sail, but who also generate electricity from the wagon canopy, which is a solar panel. Nice. They produce biodiesel fuel from animal fat. Oh, they cook in beef tallow. A little jealous. All right, so normal, we're going to get D8 mounted, D4 peasant infantry with 1 artillery battery for every 3 mounted. Oh, these guys are very, very mounted. Okay. So I need a D8 and a D4. Now, this is for the first group of them. And we're going to get 2 and 1. So for the Gray Horde, we are going to get 2 companies of mounted and 1 company. This must be like one of the clans of the Gray Horde. All right, 1 artillery battery for every 3 mounted units, 1 technical per 2 mounted. So they got 1 company of mounted plus a technical. Now that's the first. For the second, let's see if there's any more. Maybe these guys aren't going to be such a great ally after all. I get an 8. Oh, that's the big one. That's the big mamma jamma. We're going to get 8 companies. Oh, these guys are going to be expensive. 8 mounted plus, what did we say? It was 1 technical for every 3 mounted. Oh, for 2 mounted plus 4 technicals. And then we've got 4 companies of infantry. And those are going to be peasant infantry. We got to take them all or we don't take any of them. So if we want to hire these guys, I'm seeing a total of 15 companies. That's 15 times 600 for the month. That is going to be 9,000 credits. What month do they show up? The same time. Oh boy. Okay, so we get a problem here. They're going to show up in the last month. So if we're going to hire them as our allies, we're going to have to use them to help us retake Pella. All right. And that's going to cost us 9,000 kilocredits. And so because we're the attackers here at Retaking Damascus, we can hit them early enough in the season that we'll give ourselves like 6 months to recover. So we've lost Pella. That may cost us some tax revenue this year. In fact, I think it's probably going to be another -8, but it's going to be really important that we retake them. So let's go ahead and buy them. And then the question is, so this is who we're going to have helping us out when we go fight the 6 companies of militia. Oh, wow, that's a huge force, man. Wow, okay. And the good news is these guys they got a lot of technicals. They're used to traveling long distances. Remember that each of these boxes is about 50 miles across. This is about a 300-mile journey to get from Pella to the Grey Horde. But that's fine. They're going to be doing that in late in the season. They're going to arrive just in time, and we're only going to have to pay them the 9,000 credits for that. Okay, so that's what's going on with Pella. Now, before we can even do that, but first, we need to retake Damascus. And the challenge here is that Damascus, even though it's in the hands of the bad guys, still has 4 companies of militia. Plus their normal forces, they've got 6 companies of infantry. It's D6 plus 2. So 6 companies of infantry. 1 tank company for every 3. So they've got 2 tank companies. And it doesn't say what they are. So we're going to do 1 heavy tank company. And they were bloodied. These are the guys that tipped the scale. So we're going to call this, we'll do 1 heavy tank company. And they have been reinforced with a medium tank company. And they also have, let's see, is that it? Yeah. D6. Oh, 1 artillery battery for every 3 units. So they also have 2 artillery batteries. And that is going to be a tough fight. Way tougher, although we have the initiative, so that helps. So how are we going to do this? And the answer is we're going to wait until the 6th month of the year. And we're going to hit them with everything we can buy. We're going to spend 6 months. This is everything that I am recruiting. Plus, oh, but I don't have the Grey Horde, unfortunately. So whoever comes with me to fight this fight. And here's where we need to take a look at the Kaizen. Remember, we've got the tube artillery battery. They're outnumbered 2-1, but they do have electronic countermeasures. We have field medical units. We have engineer battalion. I'm gonna include those this time. We might have had a better luck with our defense if we had that engineer battalion on hand. We do have the 1st Canathan battalion. So in addition to the support and recovery, the aircraft, the artillery, we start the year with a bloodied 1st Canathan. Well, they were green, but they participated in the successful defense of Kanatha. So we're going to call them regulars now, all right? And then we are going to have to do some recruiting. And I'm going to recruit a heavy tank company, a 2nd mechanized infantry company, a 3rd mechanized infantry company, and another company of tube artillery. This will be the heavy hippos. That's our heavy tanks. They're heavy tanks, so we've only got 3 of them. Medium tanks, you get 4. The 1st Scythian, because we've recruited them from, remember that half of your population unit. So for example, here's Scythopolis. So these are the scythes of the Hippolytan Empire, the scythes of the hippos. We can only recruit 4 guys. So those guys are going to have 3 companies of infantry and 1 company of medium tanks. Yeah, I'm not wasting any time. The 1st Pellin. Oh, shoot. I can't use those guys, can I? I guess we had pulled these guys out and Pella got nervous. And I'm not going to redo this and just call them a different city. It'll be fine. So these guys are fighting to reclaim their home city. They're going to be highly motivated. And then again, the 1 battery of tube artillery. I think the electronic countermeasures that are available because of this company, there's 4 teams. They're going to help the Kaizen Empire, the Imperial tube artillery. So we're going to have an advantage with these guys. But this freshly recruited, we're not. And of course, all of these guys are going to be green. We're going to have to factor that into our battle plans. The question is, how much does all that cost? Well, it costs 24,600 for the equipment and training, and then another 50 for the year, plus 9,000 credits, 9,000 credits for the Grey Horde allies. And that means this year, I was really hoping to research some more stuff, but we're going to have to spend a total of 74,600. That's actually going to be 83,600 credits. This is a huge hit to our reserve. Instead of 271.5, we're going to be at, I'm not going to do that live, 187,500 credits. But we have a strong military. Even if we wind up losing the air cover and this support recovery battalion, we have another support recovery battalion. In fact, I'm kind of tempted to send the 447th home, except that they have energy weapons. Oh, all of our guys do. These guys have energy weapons too. I could save myself 1,500 credits. That might come in handy. But I'm not going to worry about that right now. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to warn you that our next episode is going to be running the fight to retake Damascus. We are going to hire all of these guys. We're going to spend 6 months training them up, and we're going to send them all. Actually, I guess we should probably declare one of these guys. We're going to send the first Pella. That's going to be our 4 companies. They're going to go with the Grey Horde. So these guys are our recovery force. And that way what we're going to do is we're going to send the tanks, 2 mech infantry companies, 1 green, 1 experienced, and the 2 tube artillery batteries to Damascus first. And then we'll see how things go. Anybody that we can retask, we may just spend the rest of the year recovering our green boys and letting them recoup. And then, because remember, we do have a 30% chance that we just scare the raiders off. Now, regardless of what happens in either of those fights, I think we lose the income for Pella. We're going to be out another 16,000 credits just because Pella surrendered so readily. But maybe Pella was a little nervous and they don't want to get destroyed like Damascus. Because even if we take Damascus, we're not getting any income from these guys this year. We are technically down 2 cities. And we're only about, what was it? We had a nice easy go of things for 4 or 5 years, but it's really starting to hot up. And I hope you'll tune in next week when we run this fight for sure. And then maybe we'll roll for this. And I don't know that we'll run a second fight next episode, but you'll have to tune in next week to find out. Cliffhanger, that's how you bait the hook. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Tell all your friends. Till next time, I'm praying for you.